the Invictus and Walkon in the RSA, they're two good darts to have, aren't they?
Yeah, Invictus won at Ascot, first run over 3 miles and jumped and travelled very well. For a big horse, he likes sort of decent ground, which I think we'll get. And yeah, I mean, he's 3 out of 4 over fences. Must have a strong chance, although a lot will depend on what Grand Cru goes for, you know. I don't really fancy taking him on, but there we are. We had a slight sort of hiccup with him when he was beaten at Cheltenham January. But he returned pretty sore. He lost his near fore shoe in that race. Wayne was pretty sure he lost it fairly early on, and he was quite sore on that foot afterwards. And I just feel he was probably minding himself a little bit. Gave him a bit of time to get over that, and he reappeared at Ascot the other weekend when he ran a very impressive winner of the Reynoldstown. He was always travelling. He jumped very well. 1 or 2 people think Bobsworth will turn the tables. Well, he might, but I'd be surprised if he does.
Bobsworth is getting ahead of steam up, but Invictus has 4 lengths in hand over the last and has jumped it really well. Halfway Spinner and Bobsworth in second, off up the run-in, and it's Invictus who leads by 3 to 4 lengths. Bobsworth is staying on, but it's a vain pursuit of Invictus, and Robert Thornton is back from injury. Back-to-back successes for him in 2 races.
And Walkon, this will be his first try over 3, but on his last 2 runs it looks as though he's crying out for a step up and trip.
You're slightly concerned about the ground as well for Walkon, eh?
Yes, I mean, he's a horse that had a problem a couple of years ago, and we just have to be a wee bit careful with him, and I wouldn't want to run him on fast ground. I just feel he's crying out for a step up and trip, hence the reason that if he does run at Cheltenham, it will be in the RSA. I did read somewhere yesterday that he may be a horse that doesn't like Newbury, and he's been there 3 times or 4 times and been beaten on every occasion, but I can't really see a reason why he shouldn't like the place. It's a big fine galloping track, but maybe there is something in it. Anyway, he's in good order, and I think you'll see a much better horse over 3.
Moving on to Thursday, possibly Medamit in the Ryanair. You say you haven't made up your mind there between the Ryanair and the Gold Cup?
No, we haven't, and it'll come right down to the wire, and we'll probably have a sit down with the owners and see which way they want to go. It's a difficult one. I mean, probably the logical place is to run him in the Ryanair because that's his trip. But I'm certainly with the view that he's going to be better over 3 miles. Whether 3 1/4 in the Gold Cup's just going too far, I don't know. But we'll decide near the time.
I suppose the race that could be tailor-made for him is the one at Aintree over 3 miles.
Well, it could be, yes. But I mean, we'd want to run him at Cheltenham. Although he's never won at Cheltenham, he's run some of his best races round there. You know, he was second in a Supreme, and he's been 4th in an Arkle, and he's run well this season in some of the big handicaps. Good tough horse. He was just beaten in the Fred Winter with top weight last season. Been running well over fences this year. He's won 2 and he's been second in several graded races. Be pretty certain he would run in the Grand Annual. 2 miles, I think a fast run 2 miles. We just might pop the blinkers on him. He did wear them on the flat with David Evans, and I think they just might sharpen him that little bit. So the Grand Annual looks a race that's going to be dominated by novices. I think the first 5 in the betting are all novice chasers. We did have a little hold up with him at the end of January. He was due to go to Doncaster, and he had a little bit of discharge 2 days before, and then cough for about 10 days, fortnight after it. And we're only just getting him back into peak form now. I couldn't get him ready in time for Kempton last weekend, so the logical plan was to wait and go for the race on Tuesday. In the past, it's been a fairly lucky contest for us. Supplied me with our first winner with Fort Lightning a few years back, and also Ben Salem last year. Leicester Wings. I think at the moment it's more likely that he'll run in the novice. We will just probably leave him in both and study the races closely and have a word with the owners. But he jumped very well there at the end of January. Ideally was probably in front a little bit too soon, but there was a fair bit of carnage round him and behind him. He was in front sort of 3 out, which is plenty soon enough for him. But he stayed on powerfully up the hill. Seems in real good order. There was no need to give him another run after that. Been placed in all his starts over fences this season. He trotted up in a very weak race at Southwell, 2 runs back. I was desperate to get one more run into him before Cheltenham, and he has to go left-handed, and the only place I could find in the time scale was Fakenham, and he did not handle the track at all. He was totally taken off his feet and didn't enjoy the place, but he did stay on powerfully at the end and passed quite a few horses. I think the trip will not be an issue with him, and whether he might not have the class to win it, I'd like to think he'd be staying on towards the finish. Quite remarkable, he wasn't even sighted in a hurdle race, let alone win one. He's now, I think, won 5 out of 8 over fences and been placed on every other occasion. And we popped a pair of blinkers on him at Sandown, and it seemed to transform him. He jumped and travelled very smoothly and was pretty impressive in the end. I think he's up to 136 or 137, so he's made quite amazing progress in the last year, having won his first race off a mark in the high 90s.